So my friends, welcome to a new crypto update video. Bitcoin at 119,300 US dollars. Hardly any movement in Bitcoin, and that's despite the positive outlook. The CPI data yesterday was actually, if we look at it normally or neutrally, relatively positive. At least it didn't go up. However, the core rate was above expectations, which is bad for long-term matters. Still, as I said, the markets reacted very positively to the numbers. Bitcoin, on the other hand, not so much, or rather, Bitcoin is currently in a bit of a sideways phase. The altcoins are pumping like crazy. Of course, we'll take a look at those in a moment as well. We'll also look at the traditional markets and we'll check out one or two things that are more long-term, so make sure to stick around until the end. It's very important. But before we get started, as always, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, feel free to join the free Telegram talk and Signal group. If you're interested in updates, news, and signals, feel free to join us there. You'll find the link for that for free down in the video description, and if you're still looking for an exchange where you can trade everything we discuss here, feel free to sign up with my partner exchange, BingX. The link for that is also in the video description below. By doing so, you support the channel, or rather, you support me, and right now, there's a cool deposit promotion running until, well, the 17th of August. So check it out and sign up. Alright, so what happened? Actually, with Bitcoin, as I said, very little. We already discussed this in detail yesterday during the live stream. We've now seen a small, pump, so to speak, up to 120,200, right into the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement level. Since then, a bit of a sideways phase, a bit of an accumulation phase. Nothing really earth-shattering, while the altcoins are going completely to the moon. Once again, about the CPI data from yesterday. As I said, we had a rate of 2.7%. The forecast was 2.8%. Not really, negative, but also not much more positive. However, the core rate has increased. Also yesterday during the live stream, I mentioned that credit demand in the US is getting lower and lower. That's also a point where you could say, okay, this might indicate a recession. Credit demand is as low as it was in 2020, and for the first time since the Fed raised interest rates in 2023. So we're now operating at such low levels, and you can see it here as well. It's getting lower and lower. That means credit demand, or rather, people just aren't as interested in taking out loans anymore, which could also be a sign that things might go downhill a bit in the medium term. But only in the medium term, not today or tomorrow. But keep that in mind. As I said, Bitcoin is relatively neutral. Let's take a quick look at the funding rates to see what they currently look like for Bitcoin. They actually look pretty good as well, or rather neutral. The heat map basically tells us nothing much different from yesterday, 117,000 US dollars. That means our low, which we tested here, or rather our red box with our still potential long entry down here, is still target number 1. But as you can see, more and more liquidity is gradually building up to the upside as well. That means the higher we go, of course, the 123, and with the way altcoins are currently rising, it's quite possible that we could even reach our higher target up here, or rather our medium-term target of 125 to 130,000 US dollars. Of course, I hope that we first come down here again, pick up the long position, and then take this path. But otherwise, let's just wait here for now. Let's rather move on to the altcoins, and I know those are, of course, much more interesting to you. Ethereum has now reached our target, our overarching goal. That also means a sell zone at 4,600 US dollars. We are now at 4,667 US dollars. Unfortunately, we didn't get another pullback here yesterday either. It was more of a consolidation, but that's fine. I said don't go short at the moment. In my opinion, shorting things like this just doesn't make sense. If you go short here, okay, you should be aware of the risk. As I said, if this, movement isn't over yet, the whole thing could still go towards 6,000 US dollars. At the moment, we have a small altcoin rally, you could say. Companies or treasuries are partially investing in Bitcoin. I might make a separate video about this because, to be honest, I'm not entirely comfortable with it at this point. All these, I don't want to call them zombie companies, but those that aren't really doing much anymore are now buying Ethereum. Yesterday, I saw a stock that went up by something like 4,000% or so just because it bought Ethereum. The price was stable before or after that. So these are the kinds of risks we're talking about. Maybe it's worth thinking about. This thought crossed my mind a bit yesterday. Is retail even that interesting anymore for the big players? Or is it maybe the treasuries now? Put all the treasuries into Ethereum Bitcoin as exit liquidity. Just think about it. It's just a thought I'm throwing out there. It just came to me yesterday. Maybe the thought isn't fully developed yet, but just think about it. Ethereum, like I said, I wouldn't short it. Just leave it alone, let it run. The next profit zone is probably then at 5,400 US dollars and up, but as I said, you should probably use the pullbacks instead. At the moment, it doesn't look like this thing wants to correct at all. You can see for yourselves the volume is massive and really reminds me quite a bit of the accumulation or buying phase from $1,300 to $2,000. So I wouldn't do anything there at the moment. Solana, on the other hand, is performing even better. We broke through the resistance zone just yesterday. And with what kind of candles? So after that little dip yesterday, it went up over 13% in total. So take profit 1 was here, stop loss at entry. Entry was all the way down here. So now I would even take profit 2 here because we've basically smashed through everything now. We're now in the next major resistance zone, and I would take profit 3 up here between $219 and $227. So I would now target this red box here. I would simply take the next take profit 2, then the third take profit up here. Let's move on to the next trade, XRP. We went long on that yesterday. Luckily, I mentioned it in the video yesterday and didn't wait to make a new video or anything, but actually said yesterday, yes, the entry here is with 36% risk. It worked out. We smashed it upwards. We even hit the target level up here at $3.31 again. But I already mentioned yesterday evening that I was taking more profits on XRP. That was at 10:30. At that point, I think the price was around $3.25 or something like that. Ah, no, we were here. We were somewhere around here. $3.27, $3.28. Since then, I haven't done anything else for now. So the position is still running. We've taken 2 take profits. All in all, if we take it up here, that's 5%, 6% profit. Sure, Solana went up a lot more, but you also have to say XRP was already the second position. So XRP was the first entry here. Then we went up here. Second entry here went up again, 5%. So this thing is working out for now. I'm absolutely satisfied with it. And since we're also having a bit of an altcoin rally right now, Chainlink keeps smashing it, keeps going up, but not with the same brute force as in the last few days. I'm actually glad that I took out 20% here. The next take profits are up here between 34 and 38 US dollars. That should be enough for the altcoins for now. Let's move over to the stock markets. So what's been happening there lately? Where's the euro? Where's the euro? There, up here. So the euro against the US dollar is still stable. So actually, especially with the CPI data yesterday, I expected a lot more movement. That means more movement, maybe even the first sell-off, but it's still holding up. US dollar as well. Yeah, we pumped up briefly and that was it. But as I said, I'm sticking to my plan. US dollar up, euro down. Gold is basically the same story. I told you yesterday I'm in a long position here. At the moment, well, theoretically, if we take a look at it, I could have just waited a bit longer, but the risk was too high for me. It dropped a bit down to 3,331, but whatever. Right now, for anyone who joined in after yesterday's video, we're pretty much at break even, but I still expect that we'll see this steep rise, especially now with the prospect of Fed pivots and the outlook for less lending in the US. Those are just some of the signs. You shouldn't look at gold and things like that or the dollar as short-term plays anyway, but rather as more of a long-term story. And that's why I'm still very, very bullish on gold. Let's move over to the traditional markets. DAX, no movement, which doesn't surprise me. Nasdaq, new all-time high. We're only 2.6% away from our possible top. Maybe just keep that in mind. Dow Jones, yeah, back at the golden pocket resistance here. Position stopped out at stop-loss entry. S&P 500, new all-time high. Doesn't really look bad either. But the target for the S&P 500, as we've discussed several times, is still up here in the range of 6,600 to 6,700. Here too, we still have about 2.5% room to the upside. And then we come to Nvidia. Let's take a quick look at that as well, $182. Here too, we're just 2.6% away from the all-time high. So you can see what I'm getting at. We might be approaching a certain point that could possibly be related to the Fed pivot. I just want to hint at it again, but it doesn't have to be the case. As I said, don't panic, just keep this in mind for possible future decisions. And, oh, right, maybe let's take a quick look at Circle as well. Circle, my favorite stock. The numbers were actually very, very good. Now they're even doing a blockchain. A bit of consolidation for now isn't really a bad thing at the moment. I would have liked to see a bit more of a pump from it, but well, what isn't now could still happen in the end. We'll wait and see. Otherwise, I'd say that's it from my side. I think we'll hear from each other again tomorrow morning for an update video. Otherwise, feel free to check out yesterday's live stream again using the same link that's in the Telegram group here. Just click on it and you'll be able to watch yesterday's live stream. Check it out. There you'll also find all the altcoins we went through. And otherwise, I'd say that's it from my side for now. Have a great day. Leave a like, subscribe, join the Telegram group, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Until then, ciao ciao, and as always, stay crypto.